Hi, Rec Exchange. It's Chris again from Realise Consulting. I hope you're well. It is another spreadsheet. I'm very, very sorry. I like three things. And this is something which was built at the tail end of 2023 to solve a number of problems for the business I was working at the moment. We wanted to have a straightforward, I say straightforward, it looks very complicated, but it's grown a lot since then. A instant record and a engaging record of our revenue pipeline for perm, revenue pipeline for contractors, and a forecast for contractors, as well as being able to auto generate a commission figure for you at the tail end of each commission period, and that could be monthly or quarterly. This is all based on dummy data. It's as comprehensive as you can get. So if you wanted something like this, it would be a custom solution because it would have to fit your business process, I suppose, around how you manage your revenue pipeline and your commissions, etc. But I hope that you can see the logic behind this of what it's trying to achieve. But ultimately, very, very simple explanation for this is that this is your perm record, and you add in each deal in with each line as you normally would. Now you might use your CRM. I forgot to say you might use your CRM for this, but the business owner that I was dealing with at the time was like, well, I can't rely on that. The team don't always fill it in. And the commission might change, or we might agree a lower fee, or the salary might change. So this information is able to be manipulated within this grid and within this sheet to give you a more accurate idea and forecast. Now, it isn't based on actuals. These aren't necessarily invoices. You can use the invoice figure if you like, but it's based on the assumed figure of that value of the deal. So again, just referring back, we've got the fee percentage, we've got the salary, we've got the invoice total. It automatically works it out for you based on the calculation. Nice simple one. And then you've got things like your vacancy person, you've got your placement person, you've got whether delivery were involved and who the consultant was, or whether it was a job referral, because you might deal with referrals internally and reward team members based on referring roles. I don't know, but this particular business did. So as we scroll across, there's another side to this based on that information in that perm pipeline. It tots it up, so it calculates it all. It can divide it up into quarters, but if you want to monitor it monthly, you can. There's a monthly down here, but if you want to look at your business performance on a monthly basis, you can use that. You can split it out by teams. So again, based on the person under the certain team level, it will collate all of the information and give you a final figure. There's a lot of complex formulas in here. It was stressful setting it up, but actually it works really well. As you can see, you can do it per recruiter. Now, this is where it might get a little bit more complicated. So, it's counting up the total placements within that grid on the left-hand side. How many were via delivery? How many were referred? And then when you're looking over to the financial side of things, it's broken it down into quarters. And obviously, anything you change on the left-hand grid, say left-hand grid, is automatically updated into here. I'll come on to contract shortly. But ultimately, what you want to do with this particular section is to come up with a Q1 or a quarter final figure. And what it can do is, based on your specific commission structure, it can pop you out what is the expected com rate for that period of time. So again, custom calculator. Everyone's calculators are different. This one's built on the principle of you get a percentage of your gross commission minus your salary for that quarter, and then you're paid that net commission. Just, I suppose, a different way to sort of present gateways in this commission structure. You've then got at the bottom, you've got again, there's project commission. So if you offer a commission structure based on a certain project which you might have secured as the business owner, and you don't want to necessarily give all client revenue to the recruiter because they didn't secure the client, there's a way of controlling it here where they get a smaller percentage of that deal value, which is calculated in a slightly different way. But ultimately, it allows you to keep constant track of your commissions that are payable and your salaries and your billings. You can also, if you watch the other video about the operational reports, which I've got here, the cost per license per person can be pulled in to this cell and give you an overall ops figure as well. So you can start to work on your expense per hire, and how profitable they are, which I think is quite a clever way of managing it. You've got your employer national insurance, as we know, which sort of just worked it out on this demo version of 25%, but it could be more depending on how you work. And then there might be other figures, like, for example, you might anticipate on additional remuneration at some point, or a company holiday or something like that, which you can work out an estimated figure, which is sort of off the records, I suppose, so to speak. But again, I hope that sort of makes sense with sort of providing commissions. When you look at contractor forecast, now this is another element to this financial suite, is that even though you can pull reports from a lot of these CRM systems based on the information that you've got, this particular one gives you a bit more clarity over and a bit more control over the management of that. So you don't have to go into your CRM system to make the adjustment straight away, but you can make adjustments within this forecast to see what each contractor is worth and then an overall value. So let's say, for example, this contractor here, they started at week 1 of 2025. They're likely to work the whole year. So a week count is here, and that you're likely to receive. So you're likely to receive 51 weeks worth of value at this value here. So it gives you what that contractor is worth. And then it allocates it per person or per consultant who is rewarded by that level of income, and who it applies to. Now, it's a bit rough here. I don't think I've done the calculations right, but I'm sure you can sort of gather what it means. And then you've got expired contractors. So, it'll pull in all of the expired revenue, how much that contract was worth. And you can start to look at, okay, well, what was my average week count at the end of the year for my contractor base? I want to push that up next year. And then we come into sort of business planning processes. Your margin report, again, these are actual. So this particular report is pulled through QuickBooks, and you can just copy and paste the report financials into here, and then allocate per recruiter. Nice and simple. Just you filter by client name or candidate name, and then you just drag down who that revenue applies to, and all of this information will then pop into each recruiter's contract quarter. Again, quite a comprehensive view on financial reporting, but I hope it makes sense. If this is something that you are keen on exploring or want a framework for, then get in touch. But if you are prepared to build it yourself, absolutely fine. But I would say be careful with the calculations. If you're relying on this for commissions, you've got to be really, really thorough with your calculations to work it out. But I hope it helps. It's something that you could use for your business, especially if you've got multiple recruiters and multiple revenue streams. Hope that makes sense. Cheers, bye.